What's up, everybody? I'm Lockouts, and in this video we're going to be talking about Vengeance Demon Hunter and patch 8.3. We're focusing strictly on Mythic Plus keys here, specifically what are the best talents, AZ traits, macros, and trinkets to use while you're tanking higher keys or just tanking keys in general. Check this out.
Yeah. Hey, won't you do a favor for me? Take your mouse and click the button. Won't you subscribe to me? Lockouts providing the content that you see. I'm visually stimulating your mind 1 minute at a time. And YouTube is helping out homie with everything that you see. With everything that you see. Take your mouse and go with that button and click it, baby. Subscribe, Lockouts 2020. Let's go! Yeah. Thank you.
All right, everybody, jumping right into this, we're going to cover just your talents and AZ traits. This is a crash course, not a beginner's guide. This is going to be for people that want to push like 8, 9, 10s, 12s, 15 level keys, and you know, do your thing while you're tanking. We'll jump right into the talent trait here at level 99. Run your Abyssal Strike 100, run Fallout 102, Flame Crash 104, Fracture 106. This is going to be kind of up to you and your preference, but I'm going to definitely say that your go-to here is going to be Sigil of Change. That way that you have that grip and AoE for ads and stuff like Soul Barrier. Void Reaver is strong up to about a level 5. You run Spirit Bomb and Void Reaver together, you can do that. If you watch my beginner's guide in Demon Hunter, I do recommend running Spirit Bomb and Void Reaver just for the simple fact of it gives you an idea of how Demon Hunter works, and you're able to heal and, you know, mitigate and knock down damage with Void Reaver so that you take less damage, and it just makes you an easier play style for a new Demon Hunter. Now we're talking about higher level keys here and the reasons why they were switching these talents out. Void Reaver, guys, this thing is OP, bro. It is awesome. There's gonna be times when I've been like right here and I've popped 4 soul shards, and all of a sudden I've got my soul barrier up, and the healing that you get off your soul barrier and then your healer could catch right back up to you. You'll go from empty health to full instantly. And if you're even if you're not, you know, taking tons of damage and soul barriers out there, it mitigates tons of damage. So for 12 seconds, or if it lasts 12 seconds, it'll absorb up to 75k. It consumes all soul fragments that are within 25 yards. So it has, you know, if you're pulling ads in different spots and there's shards everywhere, it'll soak them up within 25 yards. And it adds 15,000 to your shield per fragment. So, you know, 15 times 5 plus 75,000, that's every soul barrier. All right, and if you crack off, you know, you got 6 out there, well, you got an extra, you know, 15 on there. So soul barrier is definitely super strong, especially in higher keys. You're going to need this. You're going to want a couple of soul shards out for when you pull a big ad, and he might one-shot you. You pop your soul barrier and put it on you, and you'll live, you know. The next thing that we'll get into, guys, is like your minor traits. Your minor traits are going to be like your Touch of Everlasting. When you fall below 35% health, you gain 301 avoidance for 15 seconds. Your next demon spikes last 30% longer. Conflict and Strife, versatility, you guys already know what verse does. We don't need to cover that, not a basics thing. Aegis of the Deep, you gain versatility for every enemy that's within 10 yards. So Aegis of the Deep is great if you're running dungeons. It's got, you know, 4, 5, 8, 10 ads that you're pulling to multiple things like or multiple pulls at a time, because the more enemies that are around you, the more verse that you're going to get. This is probably going to be something that you're going to be switching out for like Formless Void, Spirit Suppression, things like that, Lucid Dreams. It's just going to be up to you, maybe even your Anima or Crucible. It's completely situational. Just understand that if you're running dungeons that don't have tons and tons of ads, the Aegis of the Deep isn't going to be as strong as maybe your secondary from Anima or your secondary secondary from Lucid Dreams, or if you want the a slow from, you know, you have ads and there's only small packs, 3 or 4 of them at a time or something like that, and they're jumping around in that kind of a dungeon, well, you want spirit suppression, so when they melee attack you, they get slowed and you gain a little bit of haste from it. These are situational talents and traits. It depends on what dungeon you're running, what you have that's ranked up, what's going to be better than the other, what can you pair back and forth. I definitely recommend that you get the Simulation Craft add-on and then go to the Raid Bots website so that you use Simulation in conjunction with the Raid Bots add-on, or the Simulation Craft add-on in conjunction with the Raid Bots website. That way that you're able to stat weight your character. You know what you need, what is stronger, what is weaker, what piece of gear is stronger, what piece of gear is better. It'll tell you in real time everything that you possess that's in your bags. The next thing that we're going to get into, guys, is going to be probably like trinkets and stuff like this, and this again is going to be what has dropped for you. What do you have that's in your possession? Have you been saving your gear, or are you one of those guys that just sells shit because you're like, oh well, I got something that's 5 item levels better, it's not no good to me? If you sold that, then you're dumb. You need to be saving up pieces, because you never ever know until you start exceeding trinkets by like 15 and 20 item levels, then they start becoming null and void at that point. Okay, until then, like, you'll sim, like, for instance, if I was to play Havoc, my Ash Veins Razor Coral, even in Vengeance too, Ash Veins Razor Coral, the heroic 430 version that I have sims higher than all my 445 and 455 trinkets that I have for single target DPS. Okay, now when you're playing with trinkets, you want anything that's going to give you damage mitigation. The number 1 or number 2 trinket right now is going to be probably your Edicts. Let me find this one right here. The Edicts of Faithless. Every 40 seconds you get an absorb of 65k. This one's only a heroic 430, but you know, as item level goes up, the bubble will go up. If the absorb is consumed, you gain fanaticism. It causes subsequent absorbs to prevent 10% more damage. And you could also use this, instead of absorbing physical damage, it'll absorb magic damage. So you can switch the your on use for this call is you declare Edict of the Sea Witch, and it causes you to absorb magic damage for 40 seconds. And it's a 40-second cooldown, so that you can switch it from magic damage back to your physical damage between pulls. So if you don't have a lot of gear and this did drop for you, it's an awesome trinket, because it'll absorb magic damage for you, and it'll also absorb physical damage for you depending on the pull or the dungeon or whatever it is that you're getting into. Now, getting back into item level, anything that is a higher item level that has raw stat agility on it. So basically what I'm saying is that this Vita Charge Titan Shard that is a 445 item level is not going to be better than a 430 Ash Veins Razor Coral if you're tanking, because I have 475 agility off the Ash Veins Razor Coral, and I get 207 or 218 haste off the Vita Charge Titan Shield as raw first stats that are on there. Secondary or procs, you get a haste proc from the Vita Charge, you get a crit proc, and a damage buff to that crit damage from the Ash Veins Razor Coral. Okay, the raw agility is going to be better than the raw haste. So anything at that point that has raw agility on it is going to be better for you, unless they're both the same item level, like these two. This is a 445, this is a 455. This 455 Harlan's Loaded Dice is going to be better than this 430 Edicts of the Faithless, because it's got 475 agility on it. Every 40 seconds I get a 62k absorb. That's great, but the proc that comes off this from the Mastery Haste and Crit, on top of having 600 agility, and it's socketed, so I get another 50 verse socket in top of it, just makes it a better trinket. Not much better, because the absorb that's on Edicts is super strong, but item level and raw stat will make you mitigate damage a lot better in terms of playing your Demon Hunter. Okay, so have any trinket that is of higher item level that has raw agility on it, okay, or any type of trinket that will cause you to have absorbs. There's tons of websites out there that list the best in slots and stuff like that. I'm listing just a few trinkets that I have that are in my possession and comparing it back and forth for you guys to get an idea of them, okay? Now, I do have like the Corrupt Gladiator Spike, I do have the Humming Black Dragon Scale, Ashvane's Razor Coral, the Edicts, I got Vita Chart and the Vita Charge Titan Shard. I do have Harlan's Loaded Dice and Tiny Electrical Man. These are the ones that I have that are in my possession right now that's on this character, okay? So it depends on what you have, what's different item level. It's all situational. Use raid bots, use simulation craft, sim your characters, see what's going to be your higher DPS, see what it is that's going to take help you mitigate damage the most. The more damage you can mitigate, the better you're going to be, okay? Moving now into corrupted gear. Anything, guys, that has Echoing Void on it is going to be super freaking OP for you as a tank. The next best thing is going to be anything that will increase your leech for you. As per instance, these boots I have, I got these out of a Mythic 5 only. They're only 445. I have 460 boots, but they're nowhere near as good as the corruption that is on this. I get 5% more burst, which brings my leech, or brings, I get 5% leech off these boots, which brings my leech total now to 9%. So 9%. So every 100,000 damage I do, I get 9,000 healing, which is insane. You pop 100k off like that. You know what I mean? Your self-heal from just this leech is insane, man. The next thing that's going to be is going to be haste or burst, okay? I have a ring here. This is going to be probably better than haste, actually. It is going to be better than haste, actually. Is anything that's going to increase your burst overall on your character, okay? When I equip this ring, I get 183 haste for 15 seconds. So if I would have another ring on and then pop this on, just by equipping the ring before a pull for 15 seconds, you get a little haste buff, okay? 183 haste, it's not super OP, but just leaving it equipped, it's just one thing that it's just one less thing that I have to focus on, right? Now, when you equip it though, it increases the amount of burst that you gain from all sources by 6%. So it's not a total 6%. What it is like 119 plus times 6% on there, okay? And that would be the benefit on your gloves. And then, you know, the versatility that is on my pants here, 144 verse on my pants times 6%, okay? And then that would just make your total end up being where I am right now at 8%. Stacking verse is where you probably want to be, not where you probably want to be, it's where you want to be. You want to stack as much verse as you can, guys, especially on your rings. That's where your chance that you want to be. Siphoning is really awesome because you get 100 leech off of it. Force multiplier, that's another one that you can have. There's another one that's on there that gives you a little absorb bubble and stuff like that. If you feel like these are enchants that you need because you're having problems taking huge amounts of damage, okay? So use any type of a weapon that has avoidance or leech on it, okay? That is going to be better for you as a tanking weapon than haste or verse, just because, I mean, you're gaining a secondary stat for more defenses that's on top of everything that you have. It starts to become a points of diminishing returns where you're getting such small gains. Like if I was to gain to use this sword with 65 verse and 87 haste over top of 80 verse and 72 mass and 65 avoidance, even though they're both 445, this is definitely a better tanking weapon for me to have than what the Mushroom Blade of Tyrants is. That's purely a DPS weapon, okay? And then I have a 440 Warglaive that has haste and verse on it, which is 115 haste and only 34 verse. But if you look at this weapon that I have, it's 88 crit, 64 mass, 65 leech. It's definitely a better tank weapon to have, and it's 5 item levels better than that weapon. So these weapons compared to the other ones that I have are definitely better tanking weapons. So trying to find anything that has leech that's on it, any corruption gear that has haste benefits or burst stacking characteristics or echoing void, those are kind of where you want to be for your corruption or where your aim is at, okay? Now there is best in slots, and that comes from rating and stuff like that. We're not talking about that. What we're covering right here is purely Mythic Plus keys and what you need to be using, or the gear and talent combinations back and forth that is going to help you be a more successful tank and, you know, take less damage and pop off crazy amounts of healing. Okay, all right guys, and we're going to jump into a video real quick here, and we're going to show you what the difference is of running Spirit Bomb and Last Resort versus running Gluttony and Soul Barrier with your neck and having your Vision of Perfection equipped. Okay, as you can see, when we're running these dungeons, as you can see, when we're running these dungeons, that Spirit Bomb and Void Reaver, using those two, yes, you take a little bit tiny amount of damage, but you don't mitigate nowhere near the amount of damage that you would as you would from Soul Barrier. So you can see by running Soul Bomb, we're taking huge amounts of damage, which is making Frailty go off, which is making us heal for a ton more and making our healers have a huge amount of HPS also. By using Soul Barrier, we're able to mitigate that damage. We're able to absorb it all up, and instead of us having to do more self-heals and the healer work on keeping us up as much, Soul Barrier is mitigating more and more of that damage. You're also noticing that Gluttony is proccing off more and more and more because we have the 108 talent, Gluttony, and we are running the Vision of Perfection talent on our neck. So Gluttony and Vision of Perfection together, you're soaking up all these soul shards all the time with Soul Barrier. You're eating them up all the time with your Soul Cleave, and you're just almost all the time 100% uptime in the Metamorphosis. It's awesome to be a meta, super meta Demon Hunter tank, dude. You're just running around as this giant beast, godly looking, huge, weird looking creature guy. And it's awesome, especially when you have like over 90% uptime and you're running Gluttony and Soul Barrier versus Soul Bomb and Void Reaver or Soul Bomb and Last Resort. If you guys notice, as the 108 talent, I never even mentioned Fell Devastation because it doesn't even it shouldn't have even validated me having a mention right there. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, getting back into the video here, basically in the end what I'm explaining to you guys is that Spirit Bomb and Void Reaver are good up to, you know, level 4s or 5s depending on the keys and the weaken fixes that are on the keys. Okay, Last Resort and Gluttony is something that you don't really want to pair together. You want to pair Last Resort more with Spirit Bomb, that way you do have the off heal and you're able to spend your soul shards with Spirit Bomb, and you use Last Resort because you feel like you're about to get one shot, or there's going to be at some point in the fight the healer's going to get locked out enough, or you feel like he's going to be locked out enough to where it's going to jeopardize you guys being wiped out, and Last Resort will definitely save your ass in that situation. So in the end, what I feel, anything that's over like an 8 or that's like over a 7, run Gluttony, run Soul Barrier, run Vision of Perfection, man. Run any type of a trinket that's got an absorb on it. Stack as much verse as you possibly can. Run this talent tree right here. We'll cover this, and we're going to end this right here. That way this doesn't take up any more amount of time than we have to, because this right here is enough for you guys to know. You already know your rotations. You already know what you're aiming for stat priorities. What you need to know right here is how to use Soul Barrier and Gluttony, and the reasons why all these top tier tanks, including myself, is using this, why we're making this video right now and putting it out to you. And once you start running this, man, it feels a little wonky. I'm gonna tell you that it feels a little wonky if you're so used to running the Spirit Bomb build like I was. I ran Spirit Bomb, it was my go-to. I was like, man, I'll just make it work because I'm that kind of player, you know what I mean? I don't need to change my talent up. I'm that good of a guy that I can make this talent work. When I went to Gluttony and Soul Barrier, it felt wonky. I was like, damn, dude, it doesn't feel as explosive, you know? I wasn't doing as much DPS and I wasn't healing as much, but I noticed that I wasn't working very hard either. In other words, Soul Barrier was working so much and Gluttony was mitigating so much more damage because I had so much more meta uptime with Vision of Perfection that my healer wasn't working as hard. I wasn't working as hard. I wasn't healing as much. My healer wasn't healing as much because I was mitigating a ton more damage. and I felt like I had a lot more control over the group. So this is what I feel is best for me. Now everybody's different. I'm not saying this is your go-to, do this. It's absolute. It's situational, dude. It depends on what key it is, what the fix is. But I'm telling you right now, the minute that I started running this and anything that is over plus level 8, 9, 10, 12 keys, this right here made me instantly feel way, way, way stronger and way more confident in my pulling characteristics and my abilities to be able to pull and keep my group alive and knowing what I was doing just from strictly having soul barrier. I mean, you count on it so much, dude, that you'll be low and you'll pop soul barrier and it'll save your ass, and you'll notice that you'll go from empty to full and you'll be like, what the? It's strong, man, especially with version of perfection and gluttony. Like if you can get its soul barrier to go off and then you're in meta, whoa, yeah, you get tons and tons of healing, you know, and you're mitigating tons and tons of damage. So this is definitely super duper duper strong. All right, now ending all that, now that we're done with that, the very last thing that we'll cap this off with is going to be something that's just going to make your life simpler. I have made an ultimate macro guide for Demon Hunters. Sure there is. Go on my channel, find it, surf around on there, find other Demon Hunter videos. You might learn something, you might not. Leave your comments in the videos below on different things that you guys find that work different for you, and we'll either argue or, you know, it'll be validated as definitely credential, and people will let you know what's going on in there, as will I. In other words, you know, just make a conversation starter. Say, hey, this works for me, try it out, what do you think about this? And we'll definitely validate our points back with how we feel versus what is doing good for you. And remember, guys, simulation craft, sim your characters. Everybody's character is different. Everybody's at different stages in the game. Everybody's got a different item level. Nobody has the same pieces of gear. They're all matched up. Everybody is kind of aiming for the same things to go in the same ways, okay? You guys need to have macros, all right? Especially when you're playing Demon Hunter Tank. You need to have at cursor macros for all your sigils so that your sigils will pop off like this. And wherever your cursor is, you don't need to push the button 2 times, once to line it up and get it to light up, and then a second time to get that to activate that spell or that sigil to go in that location. So just make you an at cursor macro. If you guys don't know how to do that, I guess I could show that for you real quick. Here's just one right here. This one is at sigil of change just for an instance, and sigil of flame. They're all the same. And it's just hashtag show tooltip /cast, open brackets, @ cursor, close brackets, and then whatever your sigil is right here, okay? Name your sigil of flame, your sigil of change, whatever it is, put your sigil in there, and that's going to make your sigils pop off wherever your cursor is, just like this, all right? Another thing that you're going to want to have is going to be your Infernal Strike. Same thing. You don't want to push your Infernal Strike once to light up where you're going to jump at, and then once to activate the spell. You just want to put your cursor in that area, and then you're going to jump right over there to it. Once you get used to this, it's going to be your go-to. You'll never go back to pushing this. You'll never go back to using the spell again. Once to activate it, and then once to light it up, and then once to activate it. It's stupid to push the button twice, especially whenever you know wherever your cursor is where you're going to jump anyways, and that's where you're going to be able to throw your sigils at. So I feel like I have a ton more control. My rotation is a ton more fluent, and I'm able to jump right in there to it. All right. With these macros, it's going to make your life a ton more easy. You're going to be able to, like I said, have a more fluent rotation. It's going to be super easy for you. If you want a basics on rotation guide, guys, your demon spikes. Now, it lasts for 6 seconds, but when you guys are running your AZ traits, and that's what we'll jump into right now, you need to have at least one. Let's see here. You need to have at least 1 hour of reaping, okay? Now, mind you, you need to listen to what I'm saying. This is kind of the same thing as Havoc, where you need to have 1 chaotic transformation so that you're able to get a double eye beam off and have that double haste benefit proc and all that other crazy stuff, okay? But this is kind of the same thing with this, all right? You want a triple stack Revel in Pain in your head, your chest, and your shoulders, okay? You want a triple stack Revel in Pain, so that your fiery brand, when it expires, will give you a bubble. Triple stack it, you get a triple stack bubble, okay? Huge mitigation damage on top of your soul barrier bubble and everything else that you have. With this and all your other damage, dude, you are mitigating tons and tons and tons of damage, all right? The next thing that you want to have is at least one cycle of binding, so that every time you affect an enemy with one of your sigils, it'll increase your agility by 220, and it reduces the cooldown on your sigils by 2 seconds. So right here, let's just pop off a sigil of, you know, flame, and then fear, and then silence. All right, 2, 4, 6 seconds knocked off of our sigils right there because they were affected by them. And then your Infernal Strike also drops sigils right there. So that's another 2 and 4 seconds right there that we just cooled our sigils down some more. So you can notice that we have a sigil of flame that's ready to be popped back up instantly right there. And then our heroic leap is back up, so there's 4 more seconds that we just knocked off of our sigils, okay? So you need to have one of these. 2 of these is not as strong, okay? For your outer rings, you want to have at least 1 or 2 of Blade of Shieldings. A Blade of Shieldings, falling below 40% health, you get 2290 armor or whatever it is for the item level, and it reduces physical further damage is reduced for the armor granted. It may only occur once every 30 seconds. Another thing that you want, rigid carapace. You need to have 1 or 2 of these depending on your Blade of Shielding, all right? Demon Spikes increases your armor by 131 by 1 second for 10 seconds. And the reason that I was saying that this only lasts for 6 seconds, but you get a 10-second benefit, is because of your AZ trait benefit right here, okay? And when you have your rigid carapace up, it's 10 seconds every time that you pop Demon Spikes. So Demon Spikes, if you can see right here on our cooldown, it's a 6 seconds. All right, and then our Demon Spikes is gone. But our armor is increased for the next 10 seconds, so for 4 seconds after that. And then you want to wait about a second or 2 or 3, or till about now, and then hit your Demon Spikes again. You notice that we even had enough time to let Demon Spikes fully recharge. You have enough time that when Demon Spikes comes off cooldown here, to where it's almost recharged again. You could have almost 100% uptime on your Demon Spikes by running 1 rigid carapace and timing it out and watching your cooldowns, okay? Knowing that your Demon Spikes last 6 seconds, and then for 4 seconds after it expires, your armor is going to be continued to be increased for 4 seconds. And then boom, it just now expired. That full effect from popping our 1 Demon Spikes, okay? So it's just more further damage mitigation for you. It just helps you be able to extend your Demon Spikes to where you can have almost a 95%, 92% uptime on it, depending on the cooldown, what's going on as cooldowns are happening. Cooldowns are happening during the fights and stuff like that, okay? And then another thing you need to have at least 1 of is Essence Sever, okay? Fracture has a chance to rip lesser soul fragments from up to 4 nearby enemies. The more soul fragments that you rip off of everybody, the more of a chance from Gluttony that you have to proc into meta, the more of a chance to proc into meta you have from Vision of Perfection, and the more uptime and a larger soul barrier that you're able to gain from your soul barrier. So this is the reason why all of these talents and traits all work in unison with the way that they do, okay? There's going to be different reasons for different neck pieces. Like I said, the Aegis of the Deep, that's probably going to be the one that's going to be coming out, and it's going to be changed with like your Spirit Suppression, Lucid Dreams, maybe your Anima or Crucible. I mean, it's kind of Nullification Dynamo. That's another huge one. I don't have this one yet. I'm about to go get this after this video because, you know, you have to have them. So I'm gonna go get my Nullification Dynamo right after this, and then in our next updated video, whenever you guys see that one that's next, we'll have all this stuff and it'll all be ranked up. And you know, I'm just like you guys are. We all start somewhere, they all get ranked up, they all get leveled up. This is you guys just catching this as I don't have my Nullification yet, and all these guys are pretty much green. You can see where I stand, like where with my other ones here. Like you know, I got some rank 4s and stuff going on. Everybody has the rank 4 Crucible, I guess, and everybody's got the rank 3s of all these other ones that I have. So I mean, I'm just kind of where everybody else is. These are the only 3 that I don't have for my Demon Hunter. They're unlocked. But anyways, what we did here is we covered our macros, we covered our AZ talents, we covered our general talents, we covered general builds and reasons why they should be switched out back and forth. We covered trinkets and different item levels and how this trinket is going to compare to that one, and the reason why this item level will be better than that one, and vice versa. If you guys don't remember, we made the video. Just go rewind it and watch it again. It'll help you out. If you guys learned anything from this, if this helped you become, you know, an amazing demon hunter, and you're now running 10s, 12s, 15s, you're tanking 20s and 25s, and you now are considered a higher tier demon hunter, man, please leave me a comment below. It means the world to me, to you guys. If you guys haven't already, please follow and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. I post content multiple times a week. I make guides all the time for World of Warcraft and other video games and stuff like that. We're growing. We just picked up Razer too. We have now Razer affiliate stuff, so if you guys look in the comments below also, there's going to be links and stuff for huge saving on anything that's Razer, so definitely check that guys out. And I'm Lockouts, baby. Like, follow, subscribe. Peace.
Yeah. Hey, won't you do a favor for me? Take your mouse and click the button. Won't you subscribe to me? Lockouts providing the content that you see. I'm visually stimulating your mind 1 minute at a time. And YouTube is helping out homie with everything that you see. With everything that you see. Take your mouse and go with that button and click it, baby. Subscribe, Lockouts 2020. Let's go! Yeah. Thank you.